My name is Monica Malhotra, and I'm the Program Manager for the National Clearinghouse on Disability and Exchange. And this session is really important to kind of bring to this first day so everybody gets to know more about the Clearinghouse and how you can engage with this free resource to you throughout this symposium, as well as going forward in your work towards disability inclusion. And to begin, I wanted to invite the team on screen so you can meet the Clearinghouse team and learn more about them. Great. And Ashley, if you want to start.
Sure. Hi, everyone. This is Ashley Holben, and I've been working on the National Clearinghouse on Disability and Exchange team for about 10 years, maybe a little over 10 years, actually. And I actually joined as an intern even before that. So I'm really glad to be working on this team and working on this particular project. And one of my favorite things about working on the NCDE project is getting to learn about people's international exchange dreams and goals, and also being able to hear their stories and to travel vicariously through them, especially now as I sit here in my living room, my kitchen, reminiscing about other people's travels. And my other favorite part about working on this project is getting to stay in touch with people, even years later, and finding out all the things that they've been up to after their international exchange and how those experiences shaped them. So thanks for being here.
Great. Thanks, Ashley. And Johileny?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Johileny Moran. I'm a program coordinator for the NCDE team, and I'm the newest member of the team with just about 5 months under my belt. So I've been working remotely the full time that I've been with the team, although I look forward to joining them in person sometime. I learned about the Clearinghouse and Mobility International shortly about a year ago, just when they were giving a presentation at a summer camp I used to go to, and I was really excited to hear about all of the resources and the opportunities that they share with students with disabilities who are interested in studying abroad. And so I decided to stay in touch and learn more about the organization until I joined the team later on. And just to provide a description, I'm an Afro-Latina. I have curly hair. I'm wearing a blue blazer and a blouse that has a lot of colors on it. Thank you.
Okay, hello. It looks like now that I've done battling with these arrow dialogues. Nice to... Oh gosh. Okay, that's funny. Nice to meet you, everybody. I'm Justin Harford. I'm a debonair white guy who's blind. And I'm wearing a herringbone shirt. And I heard about Mayusa when I studied abroad in Chile about 10 years ago and came to work here in 2016. And definitely, I think I would just kind of copy whatever Ashley said about her favorite parts about working on the project, the chance to meet people, and I think also meet people with disabilities who really have a real sense of control and direction in their lives, and a real sense of determination too. I mean, I think we actually had a philosophical discussion about this. Well, it almost got philosophical a month or two ago with the NCDE, where Ashley was encountering somebody outside of this amazing community and realizing that actually not everybody gets to work with the people that we get to work with. So I think that for me is part of the privilege of this job.
So we are going to share today with you, we're going to have an introduction from David Levin, who's the Senior Program Manager and Diversity Coordinator with the ECA. He's going to share more about the history and the mission of the Clearinghouse. And Ashley's going to share some resources with you and take you on a tour of our website. Johileny is going to share more about the connections with the Clearinghouse as a person who was an exchange alumni who studied abroad, and share some of those resources for people with disabilities interested in exchange. And and then coming and working for the clearinghouse, finding those resources very specific to professionals who are working towards disability inclusion and their programs. And then Justin is going to share more about all the many ways you can engage with the clearinghouse. And to get us started, we've got David Levin joining us by phone to share more about the history and mission of the clearinghouse. Welcome, David.
Monica, thank you very much. I'm pleased to be with you. And I guess I'm the oldest member of the team. Been working with the clearinghouse since it began 25 years ago, which is a real privilege for me. But I'll tell you that a bit more as I go through a bit of history about the clearinghouse. Began in 1995 when Congress asked the Bureau of Education and Cultural Affairs if we would create an operation that would provide additional opportunities for people with disabilities to go on an exchange program and benefit from exchanges like everyone does. And we weren't quite sure what to do with that. I crafted sort of the basics of a clearinghouse, issued an RFP, we ran a competition, and the end result of that was that we gave a grant award to Mobility International USA to administer the clearinghouse. It became officially known as the National Clearinghouse on Disability and Exchange, or NCDE, and here we are 25 years later. The Bureau has funded it from its inception, and as I said, I've been privileged to be liaison with the clearinghouse for the entire time that it's been in existence. And I think what we've seen is, in the 25 years, a real evolution of its programs, its products, its services, its operations into what is really now an innovative, a multidimensional global resource. And I think maybe the most fun of it of all has been the fact that in the nature of a clearinghouse, it's sort of a laboratory. And we've done so many different things over the 25 years in terms of PR campaigns, in terms of materials developed, different kinds of publications, in terms of training that's been done, in terms of social media, a whole range of things that you would expect from a clearinghouse. We've done so many things over the 25 years, and some have been very successful, some maybe a little less successful, and we modified them or revised them. So I think what you've got 25 years later is a real great example of an operation that really benefited from lessons learned, how to be more innovative, and the end result is, I think, an even more impactful organization as the years, I think, have gone by. As I mentioned, the clearinghouse's objective is to provide additional opportunities or promote additional opportunities for people with disabilities to participate in exchange programs. And it does that really in two broad ways. The first way is to reach out to the disability community to promote opportunities for them to participate in exchange programs. And it might be through, might be reaching out to and engaging someone directly with a disability. It might be a parent, it might be a teacher, it might be an ally, it might be a supporter. All sorts of ways you could imagine of engaging the disability community. It, of course, includes engaging the many organizations, institutions, and associations that serve the disability audience. And the second parallel objective is to engage with the International Education Exchange community, the practitioners, and the program operators, and working with them to help them, providing advice and counsel to them, helping them understand what should they be doing to increase the number of people with disabilities participating in their exchange programs, and then secondly to ensure that these exchangees have successful an experience as possible. So you can imagine it's been through government agencies, including the State Department itself. It's been with colleges and universities. It's been with all sorts of NGOs, any kind of organization that offers an exchange program. Clearinghouse has reached out to them to help them do a better job of increasing their numbers of people with disabilities. And I mentioned the range of services, whether PR campaigns or training or social media, so many different kinds of things that Clearinghouse does. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's a model operation. And I think it's a resource for you, whether you're part of the disability community or you're part of the exchange community. And with that, let me turn this back to Monica and her team to tell you the various ways that they accomplish what they do.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much, David. And one of the key things to know is that the Clearinghouse is, just like David said, a free resource for you from so many different audiences. And just to expand a little bit with our free resources and services on disability inclusion and international exchange, one of the key resources we administer is our free inquiry and referral service. So this is a service where we answer questions that come in through email, phone calls, whatever medium it might be, and to provide more in-depth research about a professional, exchange professional, or a person with a disability's questions about participating in an international exchange program and planning for inclusion. We also, Ashley will take you on a tour of our website and she'll be able to show you a lot of these online resources. And David, that's the first time I heard laboratory, but that's true, I guess. But we have a filtered research web library with hundreds of online tip sheets, alumni stories, best practices, and all of our resources are available in accessible formats. And then we do many print and digital publications. We've got podcasts, and so in this virtual atmosphere, it's been, touch wood, pretty smooth for us because a lot of our work is to build on these, online resources and reaching a global network in the US and abroad to provide stories and resources to work towards disability inclusion. And so I'm going to pass it over to Ashley, and who's going to talk more about those resources.
Absolutely. All right. So, Monica, does my screen look okay? And voice coming through?
Yep.
Excellent.
Both are good.
Wonderful. Well, hi, everyone. This is the voice of Ashley Holben again. And, just like everything else is going virtual. So I'm going to take you on a virtual tour of MyUS's website. And this is one of the greatest resources that we offer through the Clearinghouse because it's just this vast amount of information online. And if you want to follow along, our website is www.myusa.org, which I have here, our homepage pulled up on my screen now. There's a slideshow featuring a wall of a very colorful mural that the NCDE team and other MyUSA staff and other volunteers helped paint, portraying a variety of people, women with disabilities, different types of disabilities, and this mantra of loud, proud, and passionate in multiple languages. So that's what's on our homepage right now. So now I'm going to take you on a virtual tour of the website so that you can find the resources and information that are going to be the most useful to you. And again, if you want to follow along, our website is definitely available via desktop, tablet, or smartphone. And I first want to bring your attention to this menu at the top labeled Access International Exchange. And if I hover over it, the drop-down options I'm given correspond to kind of the three major audiences or stakeholders that NCDE serves. So that includes people with disabilities in the United States who aspire to go abroad. Also, people with disabilities outside of the United States who want to pursue international exchange opportunities in the US. And then finally, international exchange professionals seeking support to make their services more accessible to people with disabilities. So each of these pages is really loaded up with information that address some of the top questions that we hear from these different audiences, whether, you know, including international exchange participants with disabilities, whether they're current or prospective participants, but also from their support networks like family members, vocational rehabilitation counselors, and of course, international exchange professionals. So let's start by exploring the Americans Going Abroad page. If you're in the US and are just beginning your search for exchange opportunities abroad, you'll probably want to start here and check out this page first. And here you'll be pointed in the right direction for different types of exchanges, such as high school programs, college programs, professional opportunities, and more. And I have this page. One of the first things you'll notice on this page is a video introduction that is signed in American Sign Language. By a certified deaf interpreter. So several of our resources on our website are available in either American Sign Language or International Sign. So I'm gonna scroll down a bit so that I can show you some of our most common topics that come up, such as maintaining your health coverage and benefits while you're going abroad, or bringing your service dog with you. But one of the most hot topics we get asked about are what are some different types of exchange experiences I could do, but also how do I fund those types of things? So let's, for instance, take a peek at the Fund Your Exchange Abroad page. And this is going to take us to another page with linked topics and resources so that you can start getting the information you need. And the menu of related links offers more information on topics like scholarships to study abroad. That's a really popular one. Planning your expenses, including disability-related expenses, and even some fundraising tips. Let's see, I'm going to scroll back to that Access tab, and now this time I'm going to go to the Coming to the US section. Again, we have a video in International Sign this time, summarizing some of our resources. And so this is a section kind of with international students and visitors in mind. So again, scholarships and funding exchange to the US is one of the top questions we receive from people abroad. So we really do recommend exploring that section. Often people want to know what kinds of international exchange opportunities are available to bring them to the US. And I want to just let you know, NCDE does not provide international exchange programs or funding, but our online resources can really help direct you to some of those types of programs and organizations that do offer these things, plus answers to frequently asked questions. So for example, if you're thinking about studying at a US college or university, you might be wondering maybe questions like, which college is right for me? Are colleges in the US even accessible to people with disabilities? Are admissions tests accessible to people with disabilities? So I really encourage you to explore. And then finally, we offer many guides for, I'm scrolling back up to the top to go to that Access tab one more time, so that we can explore the guides for international exchange professionals, including those who are perhaps new to advising exchange participants with disabilities, or those who are more experienced. So let's take a look. I'm on the exchange professionals page and I'm scrolling down a bit, again, past another sign language video. I'm coming to this how to begin box. And when I click on that, I get a more specific table of contents on different topics. So let me take a look. There's some topics such as sample accommodations forms. And right off the bat, if you're an international exchange professional, I recommend that you bookmark this resource right away. These are almost like checklists that can help guide your conversation with exchange participants with disabilities about how you can make your exchange program more accessible to them. And not only that, they're customizable, and they address different types of disabilities, such as people on the autism spectrum, those with physical, sensory, or mental health related disabilities, chronic health conditions, etc. I'll just click on that really quick just so that you can get familiar. These are, if I scroll down under documents, there are different files I can download, and you can open them and save them to your computer if you like. So let's see, I'm going to go back to that table of contents. Another popular resource from that international exchange providers ask us about is asking questions about disability-related etiquette, and that showing respect by being direct tip sheet is a good place to start with some simple tips. But I'll let you explore that on your own. So say you're looking for something a bit more specific. I'm going to recommend that you head over to our resource library, which you can enter via the homepage using the Search Our Resources field. On the desktop, this will generally appear on the upper right. And you can also enter a term straight into the field, or you can create a more specific search just by clicking on the link on the Search Our Resources link. Let's click on the link and do a search using different filter fields. Some of these filters include an international exchange related topic, for instance, funding. You can also search by disability type, audience, or resource type. And the more filters you select, the more narrow, the more specific the results are going to get. So I suggest starting with only 2 or 3 filters and then getting more specific if you still need to. So let's say you are a deaf American looking for opportunities to travel abroad. So you might decide to select, well, first of all, I'm going to select international travel. And then you might select from the disability filter, deaf and hard of hearing. And then I'm going to pick one more. I'm going to pick the audience, filter by audience, as US traveler going abroad, as opposed to someone outside the US wanting to come to the US in the audience search field. And so now, as I'm looking at the results, this page is now loaded up with different types of resources. So I'm seeing previews of tip sheets, such as 5 essential iPhone apps for deaf and hard of hearing travelers. I'm seeing previews of personal stories, related to people who went abroad to Indonesia, Australia, and other places. We also have some best practices, which are kind of like personal stories, but they're written from the perspective of the international exchange provider who wants to talk about some of the steps they took to make the program accessible. So let's clear all of this and start again. Maybe you're thinking about studying abroad in a specific country, such as Japan, and say you want to learn about the experiences that other travelers with disabilities who have participated in international exchange have experienced there in Japan. So you can also filter results by destination country. So I'm going to scroll down. Filter by origin. Nope, I'm going to choose filter by destination. I'm going to choose Japan. And then the number 9 next to it indicates that we have 9 resources in our resource library that relate to Japan. And so once again, I'm finding personal stories, podcast interviews, which is really fun, and a lot more. So it's a fun way to scope out all the different types of resources that we have in our library. And if you ever have any feedback on the website or resources that you'd like to see in the future, please get in touch. If you have, of course, stories you want to share about your international exchange travels as a person with a disability or your best practices, you might even see yourself on the MyUSA website someday. So be sure to get in touch because we're always expanding our online resources. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Or Monica, you can go ahead and start sharing your screen.
Great. Thank you, Ashley. It's always really important to really have somebody show you all the different resources on our website because it can get overwhelming. So thank you for taking people on a tour. And now I want to welcome Johileny to share more about her connections and experience.
Hi, everyone. I'm Johileny Moran again. And I mentioned during my introduction that I met MyUSA while they were giving a presentation at a summer camp I used to go to. But during that time, I had returned from my study abroad experience, and I had studied for 4 months in London. And right now you can see an image of me just doing one of the iconic pictures for London tourists, which is at a red phone booth. And the first one is of me standing with one crutch. And the second one is myself sitting in my wheelchair, also in the opening of the red box. Next slide. Right, so Ashley just took you through a wonderful tour of our website. And I have to say that as a student with a disability, what excited me most about that presentation that I heard was pretty much all of the resources that were available through the website completely for free for anyone who was interested in studying abroad or supporting someone who wanted to go abroad with a disability. And I had a lot of conversations with my own advisors about how to prepare, but I still wish I had more information and more, just more knowledge before I went away. Some of my, I guess, top tip sheets that I've learned about since I've become a member of the NCDE team is 10 ways to avoid broken equipment. And I remember while I was abroad, I experienced having broken equipment at least 3 times. And it was always difficult for me to get back on track once I resolved the issue. And so I wish someone would have talked to me about the specific ways to prepare for broken equipment. And then there's the 20 truths that every exchange participant with a disability should know. And this one, what I really liked was that it was highlighting some of the concerns and doubts that a student with a disability may have before they study abroad. And so it just touches on those points and sort of reinforces that yes, you should study abroad. And there are so many both personal and professional benefits of doing so. And then another of my favorite resource is the personal stories. So as Ashley mentioned as well, one of the things that we do is connect with other students with disabilities who have participated in international exchange and have and are willing to share their stories. And for me, the highlights of these were like, why shouldn't you go abroad? And it's pretty much a story that talks about a person with a physical disability who was hesitant to study abroad, but really appreciated the experience once he did so. And then the other one was cultivating a magla for a global impact. And this was a story of a student with a physical disability as well, who had cerebral palsy, which I also have. And so just seeing that he had studied in what I thought an untraditional site for someone with a disability really just gave me more confidence and sort of engulfed me in this idea that, like, you can study abroad anywhere. It's just about preparing and receiving the right supports. Yeah, and with that, I'll pass it on to Monica again.
Great. Thank you, Johileny. And now I'd like to welcome Justin to share more about engaging with the Clearinghouse, the many ways you can engage with the Clearinghouse.
Thank you, Monica. And thank you, everybody. I'm gonna probably be reviewing some things here, but we'll go through this. Now, there's many ways, as you can imagine, to engage with the NCDE. And you can also imagine that we define engagement very broadly. To start with, you can ask us a question, and this is the first slide. And we have our free inquiry and referral INR service, where we take questions both from people with disabilities looking to study abroad between the United States and another country, or from professionals in the exchange or disability service fields with questions about how to support people with disabilities on international exchange programs. You can contact us by emailing clearinghouse@myusa.org, filling out our contact form at myusa.org/contact, or by calling 541-343-1284. In the past, we've answered questions about taking medications abroad, planning programs, finding sign language interpreters, traveling with emotional support and service animals, and funding. In our next slide, we see another way you can engage with us, which is by sharing your experience. And I believe Ashley kind of mentioned this as well. You have an opportunity to get on that fantastic webpage that Ashley was showing you around If you're a person with a disability who has successfully studied abroad or volunteered between the United States and another country, and you have some tips or tricks or suggestions for how others can be successful. And or also if you're a professional who has developed a best practice for supporting people with disabilities, please please share us your story. And if I'm missing something, my colleagues can unmute themselves and tell me. So, okay. So, yeah, so we can write your story. We can write a story about your experience for our website. You can also write it yourself, or also we appreciate travel blogs, and we will, if you have a travel blog, we will find a place for it at our website. Moving on to the next page, and again, Ashley kind of mentioned this already, but we write about or feature stories through our different media resources, our A World Awaits You or Away magazine publication. We usually publish at least one edition of the Away Journal every year. Past editions have focused on topics like learning languages, community colleges, and international students. Also, there's a book called Survival Strategies for Going Abroad, a guide for people with disabilities. We also have the Ripple Effects Travelers with Disabilities Abroad, Travelers with Disabilities podcast. And there's about 4 seasons of that. You're welcome to access those at our website as well. And my personal favorite is webinars. Every year we are doing a new series of webinars. This year we're currently working on a series featuring people with disabilities in global careers. And we actually have a panel that I am looking forward to hopefully coming up here in September. So keep an eye out on our newsletter for that. On the next slide, we also discover another way that you can engage with us. Maybe you didn't guess this, but we want you to present with us. And if you, again, are that person who has that best practice for supporting people with disabilities on programs or for studying or volunteering abroad, we present at conferences and we present on webinars. When COVID is over, we'll be presenting at conferences in person. And we're always looking for new people and some of our veterans too, who you're going to be seeing at this conference, who can share from their unique experiences and enrich the overall quality of the information that we share. And finally, you can also invite us to present or do a workshop/training with your organization. We offer workshops both for people with disabilities, learning how to study or volunteer abroad, workshops on studying in the USA, and also we offer workshops for professionals. So get in touch with us, myusa.org/contact, and we can discuss details of how we could put together a customized workshop for your organization. And with that, I pass it back to Monica.
Great, thank you so much, Justin. And at this time, we don't have any questions coming in yet, but I just want to let everyone know there's a Q&A box at the bottom of this webinar, and so you can submit some questions there, and the team will be happy to answer them. And pictured here on the slide is the team that you've already met, including myself, Justin, Ashley, and Johileny in front of that mural in the alleyway in Eugene, Oregon. All right, so we will keep an eye on the Q&A box. Thank you everyone for joining us and learning more about the Clearinghouse, and I hope you can take this and undermine whenever you continue to learn about the different webinars and activities we have planned for this Joining Hands Symposium, and know that you do have this as a resource going forward. And also for tomorrow, this is the last session for today. And just as a reminder for tomorrow's activities, we've got a Fulbright Impact in the Field panel, Disability Rights, Inclusion, and the International Legacy of the ADA. So this one is hosted by Fulbright, so do make sure that you go to our agenda page at the Joining Hands website or check your email because you will have to register through Fulbright for that panel for tomorrow, which starts at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. And then from 2 to 4, we have our regional discussion forums. The first block will be from 2 to 2:45 Eastern Time with Europe and Africa and the Middle East. And then the block 2 will be from 3:15 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, with Latin America and the Caribbean and Asia and the Pacific. And the regional forums will be an opportunity for attendees to swap questions, experiences, and tips with other individuals with disabilities who have experienced international exchange in one of the 4 regions. Looks like we do have a question coming in. Thanks for the question. The question is, have you found that advisors are utilizing your website? And the team is also welcome to answer, but yes, there's a lot of key resources for advisors that Ashley shared out under Exchange Professionals that we hear from the community that they're using, and you can also take it and build it internally. So take some of our resources, customize it and adapt it to what your program requirements and what your program is, and that's what we've seen a lot of. And then also, once organizations and individuals with disabilities interested in an exchange learn about that filtered research library, that's another really helpful tool to see the plethora of resources available. And does the team have anything else to share with the resources or feedback from advisors regarding our website?
This is Ashley again. I think some of those checklists that advisors can use to help guide a conversation with an exchange participant with a disability. We've gotten some really positive feedback about those. And what I really love hearing is how some exchange organizations have adapted our resources to fit their specific needs and customize them to their programs. So we love hearing that and knowing that they're being put to good use. And you know, we're always looking to update them as we receive additional insights into best practices, more traveler stories. So they're always kind of evolving.
Great. Thank you. And Johileny, did you have something to share as well?
No, I don't.
Okay. And Kathy, going to your follow-up question is, I may have missed this being covered. Can this resource be accessed while the students are abroad? And our resources, including our INR service, is for at any time in the journey. So if it's planning and applying to even returning home at any stage of the journey, then professionals and students can also connect with our office and our resources. And I've got a question here. I specifically struggle with the topic of emotional support animals abroad. Do you have resources or advice about this? And it looks like the team is putting some resources in the chat box regarding ESAs. And there we do have some resources. Majority of our resources are for service animals abroad. You can see there's been many changes with airlines policies for ESAs, and different countries and different airlines will have their different requirements. And so we do have kind of a checklist of things to take into consideration when planning to travel with an emotional support animal. Great questions coming in.
Yeah, definitely great questions. This is Johileny. I actually did have something to share. So I encourage people to reach out to the team about sharing their experience. I know that after meeting Mobility International at that presentation, and I kept in touch and was invited to share my experience with them at a conference where I got the chance to not only share my personal experience as a student with a disability traveling abroad, but I also got to share a specific project that I did while I was abroad so that future students with disabilities could have more information about the site that I had attended, which was London. And I studied abroad specifically with my school that had sites in other other countries. So I was going from, let's say, a site here in New York to a site in London. So it was a little different than the traditional experience, but it was still, there was still a lot to learn, and I got the chance to share that at a conference with the team. So if you have a story to share, or if you've learned something through supporting a student, we'd definitely like to hear of your experience, and possibly share it among others through our website.
Great. Thank you so much, Johileny. And let's see. David, I am trying to unmute you, but let me know if you can, if you have anything to share as well. And here's another really good question. There are many resources for studying abroad if you're a student with a disability, but what if you wish to travel as an adult with a disability? Are there resources for this? Ashley, I know you wrote a blog recently for people participating in all types of exchange programs and adults and even retirees. Do you want to share a little bit more about those types of resources and information?
Absolutely. And yeah, you're right. We do talk about study abroad a lot, but really we are referring to international exchange, and study abroad is a big part of that. That applies to college students and high school students. But of course, these are not the only options to go abroad. And later in life, people go abroad as recent graduates, as early career professionals, as late career professionals, as retirees. Some of the types of programs they might go on include Fulbright grants, Peace Corps service, a number of different types of internship programs abroad. And absolutely, so we're happy to direct you to some specific resources. And I'm going to share our email for getting in touch with us in this, in case you missed it earlier, but it's clearinghouse@myusa.org. And again, in that resource library that I showed you, if you use that, that filter system and select research abroad or professional exchange program or teach abroad, some of those types of things will help pull up the exchanges that you're probably interested in. And of course, the State Department has a fantastic exchange program website where you can also filter different types of fully funded exchange programs, both for US citizens and for non-US citizens, for all these different categories, whether you're a high school student, a college student, a professional, a researcher, a scholar, an artist, an athlete. So I will work on finding the link to that as well, and I'll include it in the chat window.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Yeah, and I'm going to use this time to plug our Joining Hands Symposium for next summer. So originally, as I mentioned during our opening today, we're originally going to plan a Joining Hands Symposium this summer with Gallaudet University, and we are going to still do that next summer. So I hope as many people that can join us next summer. And I know this virtual platform is really exciting to reach so many people. So do look forward to more engaging webinars and virtual engagement that we can do over this next year. And I encourage you, Justin mentioned our Access to Exchange e-news. So if you're not already signed up, please do sign up so you can learn more about the webinars and different activities we have coming forward for you all. But thank you so much, everybody, for joining. I really appreciate the questions coming through and look forward to having you join all the other activities coming up in the next few days, and enjoy the rest of the program. Thank you, everybody.